3.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kala Dakorubataban, and it's a pleasure having you on the show. 27 minutes to the top of the hour. My guest, Eugene Odey, human rights lawyer, is in the studio, and we're discussing police extortion, basically. That's what we're looking at. And so, before we went for that long commercial break, you were talking about why it is necessary for a citizen of Nigeria to submit themselves to the police, when the police finds a reasonable reason to search them.
We do it when you're traveling by air. Of course, when you're going through the security checks, you're being scanned.
Yeah, true. You
understand? And I don't see why it should be a problem when on the road the police stops you and wants to scan you. No, I think the issue is the manner in which the police goes about carrying out
the stop and search.
That is where the problem is. It's not like it is wrong to stop and search, but the manner, the approach adopted by some of these untrained police officers is where we have the problems. By Section 37 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, the right to the privacy of citizens is guaranteed. Therefore, every Nigerian has a right to his privacy. Therefore, and that's why sometimes even before the police comes to search your house, it's demanded, it's expected that they must get a warrant before they come to search. All right? It's not in all instances where the police just barges into people and just begin to search them that it's appropriate. And that's why sometimes when the police stops you on the road, maybe if you're a female and there is no female amongst the team seeking to frisk you or to search you, you have a right to resist that search. A male police officer is not allowed to search the body of a woman, a female.
But you can search the bag of the female.
Well, to an extent, no. To an extent, yes.
Okay.
Like I said, these things, there's a very thin line. Unless you have a reasonable suspicion that there's something incriminating in that bag. Because if you fail to establish a prima facie suspicion of something incriminating in that bag and you go ahead and you pry into that person's privacy, there are legal consequences. And that's why, the authorities, the police authorities and security authorities have suffered a lot of legal sanctions in the time past. And that's why these days, they now resort to scanning machine instead of touching the body of the person. Because there are instances where people were touched like that and freaks like that, and it now amounted to assault.
Sexual assault, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why they became a need for this ingenious method of searching people by using the scanners. So you can actually scan without necessarily touching the person. In such a case, that person cannot come tomorrow and say, I was sexually assaulted or molested. You understand? So there's an extent to how the police or the authorities or security operatives should search.
What can't the police search? I mean, the IGP has said, or former IGP has said, you can search phones.
You can search phones.
But Police Bureau in Rivers State also recently here in our studio said you can search phones.
You can actually search phones. You can actually search gadgets, but you must be sure. You must be sure that something establishing a crime has been linked to that gadget before you go ahead to say you want to now scan or search that gadget. It's not like there's a law barring you completely from searching. But like I've just told you, under the principles of right to privacy of individuals, all right, and case law that we have read up to the Supreme Court level, where tampering with someone's phone and gadget has been seen as an infringement on that person's
privacy.
Right to privacy. But it's not like in the case of Hush Puppy, where his activities were tracked and found. Of course, those activities were tracked online through systems, and it was tracked to him. You understand? In instances like that, you cannot hide under a right to privacy when, in fact, you have breached certain fundamental principles of the law. You understand? So in such situation, you may not be covered and protected by that provision of the Constitution. But an average Nigerian who is going about his lawful activity, who is not into anything like what they say, Yahoo, and the rest of them, internet fraud and all that, the police does not have any right. And that's the backlash, that when you pick my phone or you pick my laptop and you don't find anything incriminating in it, you expose yourself to become liable either by civil, by tort, or even criminally.
All right. Now you've mentioned what they can or cannot do, or what are the do's and the don'ts. Let's get into extortion, and that's been a problem because that's what led to all of these conversations. So you see a young man, and there is the profiling already in your head, the stereotyping that this person is, a fraudster, and then you take his phone, and because a lot of these young people are afraid. I'm not making excuses for anybody, but I want to think some of them are living in fear, even the ones who are in.
No, of course you should be afraid, because we've had instances where those who resisted were actually shot and killed.
Okay.
And you remember how SARS operated. That was what gave rise to the End SARS protests in Nigeria. Where people wanted to assert their rights. Say, look, you don't have the right to search my phone. You don't have the right to search my grade. You don't have the right to put it in my pocket with, and you don't have to take ATM, withdraw money, and people start. So then they will kill you here, and nothing will happen. And in situations like that, of course, they will instill fear in young Nigerians. Okay, so nobody wants to die. So
which brings me to the issue of extortion. Are we ever going to get rid of it? I mean, the police PRO at the force headquarters says it is only criminals who get extorted.
I want to believe that he never made that statement to exonerate or excuse the police.
No, he said they are birds of the same feather.
Birds of the same feather. But whatever it is, I don't think that statement will be in the interest of curbing the situation, because you might be saying what you're saying, and at the end of the day, you might be incentivizing those corrupt police officers to say, after all, our guy is saying that these people too are bad, we too. I mean, nothing excuses extortion. If you're a police officer, you are under the oath to preserve the sanctity. You're there to protect and preserve the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to which you have sworn your allegiance to, and also the rights of citizens. Primarily, that is what you are out there to do, to protect the lives and property of citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Anything outside that amounts to abuse of your powers. You understand? And in such situations, like I said, every profession has their rules of engagement. The Nigerian police has their rules of engagement. They have their professional ethics of doing their job, and I believe that they are under supervision and scrutiny. Anyone who is in breach of those ethics of the profession should be shown the way out, and not to be encouraged either directly or indirectly. Such a statement from the PPRO might, if care is not taken, incentivize these negative behaviors which we are actually talking about. The media has a role to play, and that's what you're doing now. We have to keep talking about it. We have to keep educating the citizens about their rights. We need to keep advocating the need to sanitize the Nigerian police and to make the Nigerian police as civil as can be.
And yet again, are we going to be able to solve this issue of extortion? I mean, it was just 2020, about 3 years ago, or not even yet up to 3 years. I think October would make it the third year, where people went out on the street across the nation and said no to extortion, no to police brutality, no to all of these things. Do you think the police have learned the lesson? Do you think we would ever get past extortion? And extortion, like you said when I called you earlier today, it's not basically because you were trying to disagree with what he said.
Yes.
It's not only when you collect money from someone's ATM. Also when we go to the police station and they say bail is free.
Yeah. Well, it's sad to say, but this issue is going to take a long time. I started by saying that it has eaten deep into the fabric of the Nigerian police force. In fact, it is almost becoming a norm.